Welcome to the second chapter of the Book of Esther. It continues now after the king has banished Asti and has sent out instructions to find a replacement. And it starts in chapter 2, and it says, after these matters, the king's rage was abated. Vasilevs. This is an important word when we see this through the chapters here in Esther. The Vasilevs, the Vasil, right here, Vita Alpha Sigma Iota Lambda. We have the basil plant, basilica, anything to do with royalty, and we'll see other words that are close to this, and they all are related to royalty. So the king's rage was abated, and no longer was Asti mentioned. Now, I mentioned in the last chapter that King James somehow got it Vashti, but it's actually Asti in the Greek. In remembering, her name was not mentioned, remembering as much as she spoke and how as he condemned her. So that's the end of her. And the servants of the king said, well, let there be sought to the king young women, Coracia, uncorrupted, that is, their virgins, Kala in Ethi. I should have highlighted the Ethi here. I guess I could still here. That's how you do it. You go here, and then you've picked a color, and then you go down here, and again you go across here, and it highlights it. And you go back over here and down to turn that off. So that's how it works. Great program, PDF expert. Highly recommend it. So let them look for this beautiful Kala, kaleidoscope. Kala is good. Kaleidoscope. Kala, beautiful scene. Means that's what it means. And Ethi, a video, idio, Ethi, appearance. Video, the idio comes from that in video. And the king, the Vasilevs, shall place magistrates in all the places of his Vasilias. So there it is, the kingdom. And let them choose Coracia, young women, Parthenica, virgins. Now there's a problem here with certain people of the Jewish race who are the Jews later who reject Jesus Christ and then try to show that different things in the Old Testament didn't apply to him, where the Christians say it did. One of them was, they said it was in the Hebrew, was a young woman. But here we see, 200 or 300 years before Christ, the rabbis translating the Hebrew word into Parthenica, a virgin. And we have the Parthenon in Greece, in Athens, Greece, and the Parthenon was dedicated to Athena, who was a virgin and highly acclaimed because of that attribute to her, and so they called it the Parthenon. And anyway, let them Kala in Ethi again in appearance, to be brought to Susan the Pauline, Metropolis Pauline. Susa, as I mentioned, has now been leveled in the 1100s by the Mongols, and it's just nothing but a field of dirt. So let him be brought into the chamber of the women, the Ginekona. Now, Gine is a woman or a wife, depends on the context. Gine, we have gynecologist, misogyny, these different words with the Gine, which relates to a woman. And let them be delivered to the Evnuco of the Vasileos, eunuch, and that's a transliteration there, the eunuch of the king, to the keeper of the Ginekon. And let there be given a beauty treatment and the remaining care, whatever it was. And the Gini, the women, whoever should be pleasing to the Vasili, Vasilevsi anti Asti, shall reign instead of Asti. Vasilevsi is a verb, and Vasili, a king, and Vasilevsi is to reign. And the thing pleased the Vasili, and he did so, or thus. And there was a man, anthropos, anthropology from that word, a Jew, Iudeos, in Susis, the Poli, where they were, and his name, Onoma, was Mardocheos, Mordecai, the son of Eairu, son of Semai, son of Kiseu, from out of the tribe of Philis, Veniamin. A phylum comes from that, Philis, and sounds like it been related with Kish to Saul, who was from Benjamin, King Saul. Anyway, he was who was a captive, Mordecai, from out of Jerusalem, which Nabucodonosor, the Vasilevs of Vavilonos, captured. And there was to this one man, there's no man in there, but it's in the masculine, so it would be a man, but I have also you could be to this one, as it was a child that he brought up. The brother of the daughter of the brother of his father, that makes her his first cousin. And her name was Esther. So she was apparently a lot younger than he. So somebody was, the uncle was married much later than Mordecai's father, who had him first, and then much, much later, the brother of the father of Mordecai had Esther, who was a lot younger, probably 20 years, like me. My mother had a son and a daughter when she was like 18 or 19, and the son was killed in the Second World War in the Battle of the Bulge. Got the Silver Star. He's buried in the Lorraine American Cemetery in France, right on the border, and he was killed in the Battle of Metz. He got the Silver Star for stopping a charge out of the fort of the Nazis. So then my mother had also had the daughter, and so when she had me when she was 44. So there was quite a few years difference. My sister was actually the age of most of my friend's mother. And I felt like she was really more of a mother than a sister. And so there was that large age, and that's how it happens. Happened to me. Now, that my half-brother, under the bloodline of my mother, allowed me to be deferred from going to Vietnam. When I found out at the last moment, when I originally asked if a half-brother would be deferred, and the person said, didn't think so. So then when I was getting called up, took the test, a physical, and passed, then I was going to be called up in a week, and I went into the Selective Service Board, and I had the man look it up, and I could almost remember the words, that is any father, son, sister that was killed in the line of duty, the sole surviving son shall so, in the bloodline of the mother, shall so be deferred. And it was in the bloodline of the mother, so I was deferred, didn't have to go. And a little story there. And at the changeover of her parents, now what that metalaxe means, as far as the changeover, if they stayed in Israel, Jerusalem, or wherever, or they were taken to a different place, and somehow Mordecai ended up with the young girl. It doesn't say, but he instructed her to himself for a gineka, for a wife. So he was a first cousin, and so he could marry her, and she's beautiful. So this is what now a lot of people have a hard time with that, think that Mordecai was a man who was just really wanting to take care of his niece, and without any ulterior motives. But it says that, and take it for what it is. And the young woman, the Corossian, was good in Edi. And when the king's order was heard, many young women were gathered together in Susan, the city, which was the capital of the Persian Empire at that time, and they were by the hand of Gai, and they have Haggai in the King James, and Esther was led to Gai, the keeper of the Ginekon. They're Gini, remember, now Ginekon of the women. Well, I should have jumped here. There it is. And the young woman pleased him, and she found favor before him. Of course, it wasn't sexual because he was a eunuch, but he liked Esther. Thought she was a good person for whatever reason, and she found favor. And he hastened to give to her the beauty treatment and her portion, and the 7 young women being exhibited to her from out of the royal palace. Other young women who would take care of her and be with her and serve her. So she was raised up pretty high to be in this position, having these other women basically at her service. I suppose this, was like a harem where they had other women, and it was a harem. And so people that were very, very wealthy, or men that were very, very wealthy, could afford to do this. But of course, most men didn't have the money to have a harem and just had a single wife. It depends on, in those days, on how wealthy you were. So she's in the Vasilikou. There again, the royal palace, the royal place. And he, the eunuch, treated her well, and her handmaidens, Avres, in the Ginekoni, the chamber of the women, again with the Gine. And but Esther, it could be and, Esther did not plainly show her genos, genus is the derivative, her race, nor her patrida, a fatherland. We get that from paternal, the patri. For Mardocheos gave charge to her not to report it. So why would he have done that? Probably because that the Jews, wherever they go, it seems like they have problems with people, and it could be anybody that's of a foreign extraction that goes to some place that they are obviously not of the people that are there. There's something different about them. I just went to had coffee, and I saw 5 young ladies who looked like they might have been 5 of them from Somalia, and they had head coverings and so forth. And out here in Newport, Oregon, on the Oregon coast, very seldom see that. Maybe the only time I've ever seen that. So to me, it was something different, but couldn't hide. They couldn't hide their differences. But apparently, the Jews looked enough that they could fit into with the Persians. And each day, Mordecai walked peripati. A peripatetic is a walker. He walked by the Ginekion, the courtyard, the feminine courtyard, Episcopalian, overseeing what would come to pass with Esther. For this was the time for a young woman to enter a pros ton Vasilea, the king, whenever she should have fulfilled the 12 months. Decaduo, we have deca, decade, 10, and dio is 2, a duo, and minas. For thus are fulfilled the days of the therapy, 6 months, in the aromatics, aroma, you can see that's a transliteration there, and with the beauty treatments for the women, and 6 months being anointed with smirinino, ileo, myrrh oil. Now, women today, I don't know if you can find myrrh oil. It must be good. 6 months to put myrrh oil on you was good enough that she was able to entice the king of Persia. So it must be some really great oil. And I don't know what it is, but if you're a lady, you're watching this, you might want to check it out. And then she enters to the king, the Basileia. And to whomever he should tell, he delivers her, whoever the king should tell the eunuch delivers her to enter together with him from the chamber of the women, the gynekonos, I should have highlighted that, unto the palaces. And in the evening she enters, and by day she runs to the second chamber of the women. So they goes in and has sexual intercourse with the king and stays with him all night. And then in the morning, it says she runs, I don't know if that's a figure of speech, to a different place. Why, I don't know. Maybe the king was keeping track and had one a different woman every night. I don't know. And so he would go find the first place from somebody from there. I don't have any idea. That was the best I can come up with. Anyway, she runs to the second chamber where Gai, the Evnukos of the Basileos, the keeper of the women, is located. I put that is. And no longer does she enter to the king, if she should not be called by name. So she goes there afterwards and stays there, and if she's not called again, then I guess she stays there the rest of her life. Kind of a terrible predicament to be, I would think, but I don't know. She has a lot of money and a lot of wealth and a lot of intrigue between the women and so forth you hear about in those days. I'm supposing today's days too, if you're in certain places in the Middle East, maybe still do this, or for Asia. And in the fulfilling the time, the chronology, Esther, the Thigatros Avigail, the brother of the father of Mardocheu, entered to the king. Not one thing she disregarded which the Evnukos gave charge to her, the keeper of the women. For Esther was found in favor by all the ones seeing her. Quite a woman. Everybody that saw her thought she was wonderful in favor, and not only beautiful, but a wonderful person to be around. Had everything. And Esther entered to Artaxerxes, the Basileia, in the 10th month, which is Tebeth, in the 7th year of his Basileus, kingship. So some years have passed from the time of Astri. I think it was, if I remember, it was 3 years in his kingship. And the king loved Esther passionately, Vasilevs, and she found favor above all the Parthenus virgins, and he placed upon her the diadema, a diadem, transliteration, a gynekion, feminine. And the king made a poton, that was a banquet, for all his friends, and this generally has to do with drinking, and the powerful ones, the dynamicine, dynamite, dynamic, for 7 days, and exalted the wedding feasts of Esther, and this is in the plural. There are more than one going on. And he made a release to the ones under his kingdom, and I would suppose it means ones in jail, or I don't know if it would be in debt. I doubt it. It's probably ones that were in prison for some reason. Made a release, which happens even today when President of the United States switches over at the end of his term. A lot of times he pardons certain people. It's sort of a tradition. I think he can pardon them anytime he wants. But Mardochaios attended to affairs. Therapy comes from that again, in the courtyard. So he was a courtier, somebody that stayed in the courtyard. He had some type of a job or a position in the courtyard. But Esther did not plainly tell of her patridi, for thus her fatherland, for thus Mordecai gave charge to her. Foviste ton theon, that should be to fear God, and to observe or to do his orders as she was with him. So he told her not to tell anybody, and she's obeying what he said. And Esther did not change over her conduct. She kept doing what Mordecai told her to do. It changes now a little, and it says, and the two eunuchs of the king fretted, Theo to Evnuki Vasileos. We've seen those before. And the chiefs of the bodyguards, that Mordecai advanced. They fretted that Mordecai advanced. So I have four. I think this should be that. So let me put a strikeout there, and then I will change that to a that. That Mordecai. So apparently this Mordecai was there in that area and maybe took on a position that was higher, and then these people didn't like it, and for whatever reason, it doesn't say, but it says then, and they sought to kill Artaxerxes the king. So Artaxerxes may have put Mordecai up, or somehow had him advance. Maybe Artaxerxes, I don't think, ever met him, but somehow he took on a higher role, because it says here, and the matter was made manifest to Mordecai. So he found out about their plot, and he signaled it to Esther. He didn't see the king, but he told Esther, and she revealed to the king the things of the plot. And the Vasilevs, didn't highlight that one there, examined the two eunuchos and hanged them. So that was the end of them. Reminds me of what happened with Joseph going to Egypt, and the baker and the wine taster, and one was hanged and one was set free. And so here they were all hanged. And the king gave order to write for a memorial in the Vasiliki Bibliotheki. You can highlight the Bibliotheki because it's still, you see this word around today. It's a library of books, a biblio, and a theki is a treasury of books. Bibliotheki, and a Vasiliki, again, the royal library. So there was something written about the goodwill of Mordecai with commendation. So this has all taken place now, and we will find out the continuation of the story where this evil man appears who throws a monkey wrench into the whole works. We'll find out about that in the third chapter, and I hope you'll join us, and God bless.